Pipita, thank you. Pipita, I don't know how we define, you said we have to, address issues. I don't know how we define lawlessness in Kenya, Pipita, but I don't know. Are we only a lawless country when ordinary people are found wanting with regard to the law? What do you call a situation whereby the political elite and their friends, their allies, their family members, they constantly break the law and get away with it? Well, what do you call that? What is that? If that's not lawlessness, I don't know what it is. So, I hear this notion that, unless we want lawlessness, when you ask questions about what is the relevance of the judiciary, what is the relevance of this thing called the rule of law vis-a-vis Kenyans' day-to-day lives, what's the relevance? That doesn't mean you're advocating lawlessness. In fact, you are asking questions why we tolerate lawlessness. Because already we have lawlessness. That's what we have effectively. If courts have to summon, an inspector general of police acting, I don't know how many times, and the person is a no-show in a court of law, that is lawlessness. That's lawlessness. In no normal society will such a thing be entertained, because they know where it leads to. It leads to anarchy. It's the kind of stuff failed states are made of. So, I think the force of the law is not reflected in how the ordinary people, mere mortals, behave. The force of the law is reflected in how those people who have got power and who can afford to ignore the law behave. That's where the force of the law is. So, going to court as many times as you wish, actually that is an indication of lawlessness. It's not an indication that the Constitution works or functions. It's not an indication that the society is robust as far as institutional frameworks are concerned. It's actually an indication that there's lawlessness and impunity. When people have constantly to litigate even things that they don't have to, that is an indication of lawlessness. Then, why do we, even after somebody has indicated that they don't deserve your trust, based on their behavior and what they have done, you've invested your trust in this person, and at every given juncture, they have let you down. Why would you continue trusting in that person? Then the problem is not the person who has no sense of integrity. The problem is you who is trusting this person. You know clearly this person, if you're to leave this person to take care of your property, the person is likely to mess up with your property. But you still let the person take care of your property. Then when you come back, well, they have messed it up. Who is to blame? So why do we trust a regime that has demonstrated that they don't deserve your trust? They don't deserve your legitimacy. Why do we trust them? Why do we even entertain what they tell us when disasters happen or when they're doing things? It could be all scandals all over the place. Why do we even entertain the explanations? Because there's evidence sufficient that they operate in opacity. There's evidence sufficient that they're averse to truth and transparency. So why do we entertain their narratives and what they tell us? So the problem is clearly not them. The problem is clearly us. And I don't want to believe that we are so beaten that, we're like abused people. We think that our tormentors can rescue us. That our tormentors have got some redeeming qualities when there's evidence that they have none. And this brings me to fetishization of the law, Pipita. One of our problems in Kenya, Pipita, and like some societies, if you observe clearly, is that we fetishize the law. What this means is that we think that the law is the magic wand. When there's a problem, all that you have to do is you wave the Constitution, you invoke the Constitution, you quote a particular provision in the Constitution, and that constitutes, a solution to that problem. It doesn't. In fact, in societies where the rule of law holds, hardly do you come across people referring to the Constitution again and again. Hardly. Why? Because to demonstrate that you actually know what the Constitution stipulates, that has to be reflected in your behavior, not in what you say, in what you do. And when it comes to the government and government people, it's not what they say, it's what they do. So policies, when it comes to the government, it's not what is written on paper, it's what people do. So what government people do, that's policy. It's not what they say policy says. It's not referring to a particular book or a particular act of parliament or a particular provision. It's what they do. So if they do contrary to the law, now that is it. That's what you have to focus on. It's not about what does the law say about the airport. What does the law say about PPP deals and stuff like that? No. What do these people do in reality? Then you tackle that. You don't focus on what is on paper, what is in the Constitution. Focus on what they are doing, because that's what will hurt you. So it's not like what the courts ruled. Well, the courts may rule that this acting Inspector of General Police must be jailed. They don't go to jail. So do you focus on the ruling? No, focus on what is happening. What is happening, what is in reality, the person has not gone to jail and will not go to jail. That is what you have to live with. And why is this happening? Now you focus on that. Well, before this, Miguna had numerous rulings in his favor. Have they been enforced? The likes of Fred Matiang'i, then a minister. Yeah, he also defied the courts. The courts ruled against him. And other people within the immigration department. Have those rulings been enforced? They have not been enforced. Some of these people are going about their lives. They have been redeployed in other places. Matiang'i has been touted as presidential material. Now that tells you how decadent we are as a society. We've got very short memories, and that's very problematic. Well, I hear people say William Ruto will be jailed after his has Uhuru Kenyatta been jailed? Let's begin from there. Because he also defied court orders. Has he been jailed? So what makes you think that William Ruto will be jailed? And there are people who are eligible to be jailed as we speak now. They have not gone to jail. They're going about their lives. Have people who stole from the state, public coffers from Kenyans, have the money been forfeited back to Kenyans? No. So why do we think that people who are messing up Kenyans now, tomorrow they'll be held to account? I mean, it's naive, frankly speaking. It's naive. It's naive because we focus on personalities as opposed to looking at what we're facing as systemic problems. These problems are institutional. They're entrenched. They're structural. They're not personality-based. So until we address that problem, we may move around chasing shadows, chasing shadows, a very futile exercise, or chasing ghosts, things that don't exist, highly futile. Let me tell you, if you read this internet thing, what is happening in other jurisdictions. The other day I was reading on internet. In South Africa, there was a person who mischaracterized himself. He applied for a job, the equivalent of our Kenya Railways, to be the head of Kenya Railways or SGR or the airport. Well, he got the job. He had false papers, They carried out investigations later and discovered, this person had misrepresented himself. He didn't have the papers that he claimed to have at the time he was given the job. What did the courts do? Guess. They slapped this person with a 15-year jail sentence. 15-year jail sentence. And the salary that he was paid that he did not deserve will have to be recouped, and the money will go back to the taxpayer. Can we do that in Kenya? Can we do that? No, we can't. So why do we think that the law is going to save us? We can't do that. We don't have the confidence. Our institutions, our judiciary, everybody, the political elite cannot contemplate that, even as they mess up with our public coffers. They don't. They don't do. They don't see tomorrow that they'll go to jail or the proceeds of crime, will be attached and be taken back to the people of Kenya. They don't see that. So I think, Peter, we've got a problem with this thinking that the law is the magic wand, the solution to our problems. I can put it to you that not only Kenya, but every other society has got problems that transcend the law. They transcend the law. And that's why the law is only that a small fraction of any given society. Very small fraction. It's not the be-all and end-all. But in Kenya, it's the be-all and end-all because there's also criminality. It's criminality because, Pipita, the law, the practice of the law is exclusive. So people tell you, sit out. You don't understand the law. That's why many Kenyans, if you listen, they say, I'm not a lawyer. They're very apologetic. They're very apologetic. Why? Because by so saying, you affirm that the law is exclusive. And when something is exclusive, then it becomes privilege. You need to be a privileged person to participate in this kind of undertaking activity. You need to be a lawyer, to speak about legal issues and stuff like that. And it leaves out the majority of Kenyans. When in actual sense, Peter, the things we are talking about are commonsensical, very much logical things, very logical. There's nothing about legalese, but they'll push those things into the realm of legalese. When you do that, you exclude majority of Kenyans. And they actually accept that we do not have the requisite qualifications, sophistication, training to participate in this debate. Is it really true? It's not. It's not. You don't have to be a lawyer to know that the kind of things that they are doing with the airport have no standing in law, have no standing in logic, have no standing in morality. You don't have to be a student of law, do you? You don't have to be a student of law to understand corruption, that it affects your life, that it runs counter to prosperity and development. You don't have to be a lawyer, do you? You don't have to be a lawyer to see what has happened to children in Nyeri. That it's an indication of a dereliction of duty and responsibilities on behalf of the government. And it's a continuation of impunity and disregard for the rule of law. And it's this, celebration of money and profit at the expense of human life. You don't have to be a lawyer to appreciate those things. And that there's not going to be accountability, even if the government says there will be. They speak, a lot, but they're very lean on action. But state actors and governments, it's not what they say, it's what they do. And if you go to other jurisdictions, Peter, no president will tell you people will be held to account. No president will say, I've dispatched so-and-so a special force to go and look into what's up. They just continue with their life. What you will see later are people being arraigned in court. And then, it's in connection with that accident. It's in connection with that fire. No one threatens anybody. No one says, I've instructed government officials to go and, schools must be inspected. No one does that. Because people know what they're supposed to do. And if you don't know what you're expected to do, you know there will be consequences. But what do we find in Kenya? No, I've instructed, my minister. I called the PS education to explain to me what's happening. Somebody else says all schools must be inspected. Were you waiting for a disaster to go and inspect schools? To find out whether, the constructions are as per the laid down rules and regulations? You see how reactive they are? They're not working. And they'll forget about it tomorrow and proceed with their lives. Until next time, we find something else. Let me tell you what some other jurisdictions have done, Pipita, that have grappled these problems we're grappling with now, and they have sat and realized, what can we do? In other jurisdictions, to affirm the realization that the law is only but a part of the larger society, they have made legal training a postgraduate degree. Postgraduate. At the undergraduate level, they expect people to read things that will broaden their minds. They will expect you to go and read psychology. They'll expect you to go and read politics. They'll expect you to go and read sociology, philosophy, chemistry, whatever. Go and read all those things, anthropology. Go and read those things. Literature. After you've read those things, now if you are interested in training as a lawyer, then you can enroll for legal training at a postgraduate level, and you can proceed, because they want jurists with broad minds who understand the society. You don't go to a court and find the judge making some very weird ruling, and people wonder, but what is the thinking here? This person went and stole maize because they were hungry. I mean that's there's a way you look at that. But you slam this person 20 years in jail. Like you are not thinking properly. You are just reading the book. You're reading the book. You find where this could be murder, but no, this is not murder. But you treat it as murder. Well, in actually it's not. And what is supposed to be treated as murder, you treat it as something else. Why? Because of the law. You're a slave of the law. And that's why, Pipita, man is not meant for the law. It is the other way around. The law is meant for man. It is the man who drives the law. The law does not drive the man. So if the law becomes an impediment, you think outside of what the law says. That's what it is. So, Pipita, this is my submission. It's problematic. I think Kenyans should reevaluate the way they look at their problems. Their problems are not legal, and they cannot be solved by the law only, and they cannot be solved by the Constitution only. If the Constitution were to solve our problems, we would be far. Clearly, we would be very far as a society. It cannot, and it will not solve our problems. Not now, not tomorrow, not the following day. That's my submission, Pipita. Thank you.
All right.